morning, everyone. Again, good morning to our friends watching online. Welcome to the public launch of Journalists Against Corruption, or JAC, a network of journalists in Southeast Asia who report on corruption. Just to inform the people here in the room, we are being streamed live. So this is not just a conversation among us, but it's also being watched online sa PCIJ website. So to start the discussion, I would like to call the Executive Director of the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, Ms. Carmela Fonbuena, for the welcome remarks.
Thank you, Weng. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're not tired of me as our second day together. Thank you for joining us here in Manila. First, we acknowledge the presence of Mr. Daniel Marchesi, the head of the UNODC office in the Philippines, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and his colleagues from the UNODC, Ms. Megumi Hara, Ms. Kirby Tibayan, and Mr. John Hyde. We also have Ms. Erica Wilberg of the Embassy of Sweden in Bangkok. And we have Ms. Chudney Ngo of the U.S. International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. We might have a few more guests later. We acknowledge the presence of almost 30 journalists in the room. There were more of us yesterday. 17 flew in from neighboring countries in Southeast Asia. We are thrilled to welcome you to the launch of a new journalist network in Southeast Asia. Finally, we're here. The name of the network, drum roll please. Oh, it's here. Journalists Against Corruption, or JAC. Applause. We decided on this name yesterday. The tarps outside were printed last week, so you're seeing generic names in the tarps. We do not have a logo yet. We thought we'll take time to decide, to have something nice to show everyone. JAC, or JAC, has a nice ring to it, yeah? It's a simple sounding name, but the ambitions are certainly not. In fact, the ambitions are grand. JAC is a network that unites media practitioners dedicated to investigating and exposing corruption issues. It's a platform for national and regional collaborative investigations and training opportunities. The urgency of this effort cannot be overstated. We are seeing the decline of civil society and press freedom throughout Southeast Asia. The outlook for open, transparent, and accountable governance systems is bleak. The region also witnessed setbacks in achieving Sustainability Development Goal 16, whose targets include peace, justice, and strong institutions. At the moment, JAC is a network composed of 35 journalists from 7 countries in Southeast Asia. We have 4 members from Cambodia. I counted Jack from Cambodia. If we may ask our participants to stand up to be recognized. If you can stand up, very quick, thank you. 4 from Indonesia. We are happy to have 1 from Laos, 2 from Malaysia, 4 from Thailand, 2 from Timor-Leste. There were 18 from the Philippines yesterday, 7 of them PCIJ. We were supposed to have participants from Vietnam and Myanmar as well. That would have been 9 countries, and we would have loved that. But we will make sure that they will be present in future activities. The JAC network was conceptualized in October last year during a conference organized by the UNODC in Kuala Lumpur. where common challenges facing journalists investigating corruption was discussed. There were about 10 of us, and during our conversations, it became apparent that collaboration and solidarity among watchdog journalists and newsrooms will be beneficial in terms of amplifying our respective corruption investigations, facilitating access to data that can inform investigations, arranging training activities that will improve the skills of journalists and researchers, and providing support for each other amid various threats. We agreed to form the network in KL, but we knew we needed to bring in more journalists to decide the shape and direction of the network. UNODC rushed to pull the resources to make it happen. We at the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, PCIJ, thank the UNODC and our fellow journalists for entrusting us to coordinate these efforts. We are joined today by Mr. Daniel Marchesi, head of the UNODC office in the Philippines, and we shall hear from him later. Yesterday, 35 journalists gathered in this hotel for a day-long discussion of challenges confronting anti-corruption journalists in the region, brainstorm solutions, and identify, based on the proposed solutions, the future activities of the network. The conversations were easy, and you will see in a short video later that the group had a great chemistry. PCIJ Training Director Rowena Paraan facilitated the discussions, and UNODC lent their expertise. And it was nice to watch the interactions. I was a bit afraid we wouldn't be able to agree on the name of the network and that it would take a bit more time. But there was so much energy in the room. It makes me very optimistic about the future of the network. This partnership with the UNODC would not have been possible without the support from the government of Sweden. And we recognize the presence of Ms. Erika Wilborg. She was present in discussions yesterday. She was also present in discussions in KL. And while big issues were being discussed by the group, there were follow-up conversations happening simultaneously among the 5 tables of journalists yesterday, and many friendships were forged. Howie Severino, the chairman of the PCIJ Board of Editors, joined us yesterday. He had his own pocket of conversations with Erica, John, Megumi, and Kirby. We'll share the results of our discussions in a short presentation later. The conversation also inspired PCIJ artist Luigi Almuena to produce the painting we're seeing here. He painted while he listened to the conversations yesterday. The U.S. International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs also supported this initiative. We're very thankful. Ms. Chadningo is here with us. We think this is an unprecedented gathering of anti-corruption journalists in the region, at least in the recent years. This is also the first time for PCIJ after a while, and definitely since the pandemic, to organize a regional Southeast Asia face-to-face event. The training team worked tirelessly. We thank Rachel, Martha, Sita, Aaron, and PCIJ shall have more of these activities. PCIJ will continue to coordinate the pilot period of the JAC network, and it's definitely a role that PCIJ would love to perform. Beyond the piloting period covering the partnership with UNODC, the JAC is designed to be a self-sustaining initiative, and we have organizations watching us on Zoom, and I think we may have more guests this morning. We hope they will become JAC's partners in future activities. And we've been inspired by the messages of support that they sent in the email. So we invite you all to talk to the journalists later. Let's continue to forge partnerships and friendships. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Carmela. Thank you for giving us the history of this network. Again, I would like to emphasize that we have 7 countries in the network, but in the future, we're hoping to include Myanmar and Vietnam. Just a brief announcement. Can we use the hashtag uh, FOR, small letters, and JAC, capital, for anybody who's posting anything online about the activity?
Okay.
So next in our agenda is a message from Mr. Daniel Marchesi, head of the UNODC office in the Philippines. Sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Let me see if I can do it without glasses. No, so I have to do with the glasses. Thank you very much. It was nice to hear from Carmela. I remember. I think it was my first week here in the Philippines that I had the opportunity to speak with Carmela and have a meeting with her in this same hotel. And there was not a better way to be welcomed here in the Philippines than really by meeting her and discussing the different challenges of this country and the enthusiasm that you have really in addressing them and through your work as a journalist really was really refreshing for me and a great experience and a great way to start my posting here in the Philippines. So, distinguished guests, journalists, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Magandang umaga. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today at the inaugural meeting of the Southeast Asia Anti-Corruption Journalist Network, or better, of the JAC, or Journalists Against Corruption. And congratulations on this new name that I think is a great idea and a great brand for this network. This initiative was supported or is supported by the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. So, as the guardian of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, the UNCAC, UNODC is deeply committed to promoting transparency, accountability, and integrity worldwide. The UNCAC is the only globally legally binding instrument against corruption, offering a comprehensive framework for governments, civil society, and the private sector to fight corruption. So not only the UNCAC is a very modern treaty, a very modern instrument that we just I think had our 20th anniversary last year, but it's really great how it includes civil society, the private sector, the youth, journalism in this joint fight to prevent and combat corruption. Journalism plays a pivotal role in this fight. Investigative journalists shine a light on hidden corruption, holding those in power accountable and bringing injustices to the forefront of public discourse. They can uncover illicit financial flows, political favors, corruption in procurement, etc., etc. Your work not only informs the public, but also preserves the very foundations of democracy and the rule of law. In regions like Southeast Asia, where the challenges of corruption are profound, your stories can spark change, influence policies, and inspire collective action against corruption. The creation of the JAC, the JAC network, marks a significant step forward in our shared mission. By coming together, sharing resources, and supporting one another within this network, you amplify your voices as journalists and strengthen your impact. In unity, there is strength, a strength that can withstand the pressures and threats that often accompany the pursuit of truth. UNODC is proud to support this initiative. We are committed to providing platforms for capacity building, facilitating access to critical information, and fostering an environment where journalists can pursue their important work with greater security and support. As we move forward, let us remember that our fight against corruption is not just about exposing wrongdoings, but about building a future where integrity, justice, and accountability are the norms, not the exceptions. Your work as journalists is indispensable to this vision. And really congratulations to all of you, and thank you for being here from all across the region. Really an applause, I think, is for all of you. Thanks a lot for being here, and congratulations on your work and on your courage as journalists. I look forward to the discussions, ideas, and partnership that will emerge from this gathering. Together we can forge a path towards a more transparent, just, and equitable society. Thank you for your commitment, your courage, and your invaluable contributions to the fight against corruption. I wish to extend my deepest and our deepest appreciation to our esteemed partners whose support has been fundamental to the inception and growth of this network. I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the Embassy of Sweden in Bangkok. Your support has been instrumental in kickstarting this monumental work that led to the establishing of the network. And your ongoing commitment to fostering transparency and accountability has set a strong foundation for our collective efforts. A special thanks to Ms. Erika Wilborg from the Swedish Embassy. Thank you for being here. Equally, we are profoundly grateful for the support and partnership of INL, of the U.S. Department of State Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, and also to all the other partners that have been involved in promoting this JAC, this JAC. Your belief in our mission has empowered us to build stronger foundations for our collective fight against corruption, and has encouraged a more collaborative and effective approach to fostering transparency across borders. Last but not least, let me thank our friend of the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalists, and again, Carmela, for hosting this network and for leading this work. Thank you very much, Carmela and colleagues. Thanks. So let us move forward together, emboldened by our shared vision and united in our purpose to forge a path towards a more transparent, just, and equitable society. Once again, thank you. Maraming salamat, as we say in the Philippines, and good luck on this journey together. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Marchesi. He mentioned the words integrity, justice, accountability. These words, they are good reminders of what journalism is all about. So thank you. Next, I would like to call again Carmela to tell those who are listening online about what we've done the past day, yesterday. It seemed like it was more than a day. So, Carmela, please.
It's me again. Shorter this time. So we wanted to share what happened yesterday. So like I said, we identified the challenges facing journalists in the region, proposed solutions, and identified among these proposed solutions what we should do together. So we'll move our beautiful photo here to the next slide, Aaron. We'll not go through one by one. The challenges are here. It's pretty common, but essentially it's access to data, access to public officials, the weaponization of laws and regulations, the shrinking space for independent news, and we also talked about limited funding, lack of opportunities for the upskilling of reporters, increasing difficulty in protecting sources. So common challenges. Next slide. We had proposed solutions. Say we identify for the weaponization of laws, we need the passage of FOI laws, the decriminalization of libel, the challenges on access issues, again, it's the FOI law, information sharing between journalists, CSOs, and the academe. We also wanted collaboration and cross-border reporting. We've faced threats, physical, so it's offline and online. We needed cyber skills to protect ourselves in the online space. We also need security training against physical attacks. So online threats, cyber protection, security training, low pay, of course, has been discussed also yesterday. And this is the reality for many journalists. There have been some discussions on alternative models for funding. I think we need to continue conversations on this. We focused, I think, on this, the lack of opportunities for upskilling. We need training, for example, on legal systems in the region to facilitate collaboration among journalists, because our laws are very different from each other. And how do we popularize investigative journalism? How to improve social media strategy, because we can produce fantastic, great, in-depth reporting, but if no one's reading it, what's the point, right? We also wanted specific skills, like skills on OSINT. We also talked about building database on laws and best practices for investigative journalists and anti-corruption journalists. We were also exploring how we can maximize opportunities, such as the annual ASEAN editors meeting to push the agenda, media reporting against corruption. Out of all of these proposed solutions, Weng had made it fun for us to choose which of these proposed solutions we can operationalize. So next slide, this is my last slide. So I wanted to show, how much fun we had. These were the yellow pads where we wrote down what we wanted to happen, and everybody put stars on the yellow pads to identify which ones they would want for the network to do in the near future. So we're looking at training of trainers on investigating corruption, training using OSINT and other digital tools. Oops, I lost the light here. We also wanted to create a group, a communication channel, so that we can continue our conversations. Essentially here, we're talking about training on investigating corruption. So those are the things we'd like to pursue moving forward. So that ends my presentation of what happened yesterday. I want to show a video that will show you the great chemistry we had, but I want to also call 3 participants who will give testimonies about the value of the network to journalists in the region. So while we're playing the video, we hope Linda, Artie, Francisco can take their seats in front. Thank you.
JAC. The name of this network is JAC, Journalists Against Corruption.
We're gathered today for the Manila meeting of the Southeast Asia Anti-Corruption Journalist Network. So journalists from 7 countries in Southeast Asia are represented here today. The urgency of this effort to create a network of journalists that will focus on corruption specifically cannot be overstated. Throughout Southeast Asia, we are seeing the decline of civil society and press freedom. The outlook for open, transparent, and accountable governance systems is bleak.
Journalism plays a really integral role in the fight against corruption, which should be a shared responsibility for governments, civil society, journalists, and all of us.
One of the problem in Indonesia is that we don't have this independent body on corruption eradication. Our Commission on Corruption Eradication filled with people who has this affiliation with high-ranking official in police institutions.
If we categorize, the challenges will be regulation, the intimidation, the physical, digital attacks.
If you are an anti-corruption journalist, number one problem would probably be access to government officials, because if you are critical to them, they won't talk to you.
It would be good to to teach or to encourage young people to know the investigative journalism, or to be the publisher in the young age and know they right.
Maybe we are the lowest paid journalists in the whole region. The biggest one, I think, up to 400 or 500 US dollar. That's a government agency journalist salary.
If any investigation on the powerful people at the government it also makes the journalists risky, and also they have to censor themselves regarding to the subject of the investigative report.
Is investigative journalism, at least in the ways we're familiar with, still effective? Can it have an impact?
Write down the solutions that you see in response to the challenges that we identified this morning.
Collaboration or triangulation across media organizations for corruption-related stories.
We propose the solution since we are not allowed to write certain things in our own country, so perhaps we can ask someone from outside of our country if we are collaboration.
If journalists are living in dire conditions, there's no press freedom. So we believe that reporting in all aspects of journalism would be better if we are paid enough.
The second challenge is media safety and freedom.
Of course, the journalists themselves, especially the more senior ones, have to be upskilled to be able to become content creators themselves. So how is this done? We have to train our more senior journalists to know how to use TikTok, how to use Facebook, how to use Twitter.
Read what's on those pieces of paper. You are going to vote which activity, which of the suggestions you would like for the network to implement.
4 remaining suggestions. Any other?
1, 2, 3.
The name of this network is JAC, Journalists Against Corruption. Woo!
Luigi, our artist, has worked on this interpretation of our discussions today.
Whatever we wrote, we can still get those people who do corruptions in jail.
For this network to be sustainable, there should be efforts in various countries.
That was such a good, and I think all the participants appreciate the efforts that was put in that video. Thank you so much. So now we have our 3 representatives. So they've been volunteered by their peers. So Linda is from Indonesia, RT is from Thailand, and Fernando is from Timor-Leste. And if there's anybody else from among the participants who would also like to speak about the experience, about the discussion, they are also welcome after that.
You're welcome to sit with us here. It feels like an inquisition. So Linda, would you please start?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. I'm Linda Trianita from Tempo, based in Indonesia. At first, I will introduce our media. We have 3 outlets in Indonesia, which are weekly magazine, daily newspaper, and online portal, or we call it tempo.co. Tempo established since 4 years ago, and over that time we have gone through a lot, including temporary close under the Suharto dictatorship regime. That was the moment of the defining moment for Tempo, for us in 1994. At the time, Suharto regime was in power and they banned Tempo for its investigative report on government both ship from German at that time. And After that, Tempo went underground, published as online and news portal while maintaining its role as a festive watchdog in Indonesia. That moment in history has contributed to what Tempo has become today, an independent, investigative, and increasingly digital news publication that always put the public interest at its heart. And we reappeared in 1998 after a few months after Suharto dictatorship regime was fell. And the biggest issue in the next era was how to keep independent and impartial in a society where everyone now knew free to push their own agenda and have their own vested interests. And in those times, we were sure that newsroom independence was vital in making sure we serve the best journalism possible that can help our reader navigate their way in those hitherto uncharted territories. That stance also cost us dearly. We had people thrown Molotov bomb at our office, and many of our advertising contracts were canceled. Our reporters were harassed and threatened, terrorizing for asking the right question on the right people. It happened until now, and it happened to our fellow from Indonesia, like from Narasi and Project Multatuli also. They were here too. We also have been sued repeatedly in court and to near bankruptcy, but we never regretted the choice either. And just yesterday, one of minister report us to the police because our story. And we also, Tempo has long-standing record in exposing scandal and wrongdoing. Muckraking has always been something that was associated with us. That's why one of our senior journalists, maybe almost everyone or almost every journalist knows, Wahyu Diatmika, participating in the Global Panama Papers investigation. Besides that, we have a lot of collaboration. For example, in 2016, Tempo has collaboration with the reporters from Taiwan. We expose slavery of Indonesian aboard Taiwanese fishing ship. And the year after, we collaborated with Malaysia Kini to expose human trafficking network of Indonesia through Malaysia. Not only with international media, Tempo also work on Indonesia League. This is a nationwide project, collaborative project to investigate high-level corruption case within the police and or other scandal, and using leaks from whistleblower. At the moment, maybe in 2021, I guess, or 2020, another moment of Indonesia leaks, also here, Rora and Mas Nyonyo, from this collaboration in national collaboration, we realized that one of the most difficulties challenge for Indonesian journalists can come from inside the newsroom or from publisher. Because if our boss intervenes and asked to kill a story, there is a little journalists can do without the risk of losing their jobs. And many journalists in Indonesia have been taught to exercise strong self-censorship when it comes to topic that can cause harm for their publisher business. Several editors from other newsroom in Indonesia Leaks reported that their owner warned them about the business consequences of publishing the story. And then at the moment, editor in Indonesia League had a lengthy discussion to save the story from international censorship, and finally were able to publish it in different outlets. And another challenge in Indonesia, getting public data and document from official sources is still biggest challenge. Not all public data is available, and accessible in a format that can be easily processed and analyzed. Sometimes this isn't about deliberate concealment, but because of a lack of understanding how to coordinate a sharing mechanism between different government agencies. And the limited amount of available data and its low quality have become a recurring issue for us. I think the other country in Southeast Asia has similar issue with us, and that's why we need the journalist network, JAC, or some people call JAC, to we are together, we can grow together. I hope we can grow together and strength together and can collaborate in the future about anti-corruption issue. Thank you.
I was told it's going to be a speech, so I thought I'm going to get a podium. So it's okay. Okay, so thank you for being here. Thank you, the UNODC. Thank you, the Philippines Center for Investigative Journalism, for making this possible. Journalism is dead. No, that's sensationalism, meant to capture your attention. But that captures the essence of what I'm going to talk about today. And it's going to be scripted because I didn't memorize it. Okay. In this era where the public is constantly bombarded with information, the role of journalists are more important than ever. Okay. It's going to sound boring. You can look at your phone. It's okay. We stand as the gatekeepers of truth, the last Jedis in the world of misinformation and disinformation. I'm going to pretend like I'm not making a script, but it's okay. There's an increasingly popular narrative in the public discourse suggesting that the era of journalism has passed. That in a world of instantaneous information, journalists are no longer necessary. This couldn't be further from the truth. Now, more than ever, the need for diligent, dedicated journalists is paramount. Investigative journalism, in particular, is now more important than ever. It goes beyond the mere collection of facts. It's about piecing together the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface. Truths that have the power to ignite change, that confront the status quo of the public. Corruption in many forms. You didn't have to agree with everything, you know. It's so awkward. It's not the podium, but I'm an actor, so yeah. Corruption in many forms continues to be a pervasive force that undermines transparency, accountability, and integrity. Most importantly, democracy. In every corner of our world, there are stories of corruption, injustice, and deceit waiting to be told. These stories require the dedication, the courage, and the resolve of those willing to dig deeper, you, and the resolve to challenge the powerful and to speak truth to power, right? Yes. The importance of a network of anti-corruption journalists is paramount. It magnifies the ability to uncover truth and challenge power. It also enables the sharing of crucial information and resources, making the daunting task of uncovering complex, often transnational corruption feasible. Correct? Yes. This network will also offer a protective shield, safeguarding journalists against threats and retaliation. This is essential in ensuring that the vital role of investigative journalism in maintaining transparency and accountability continues to thrive. So, now that we have JAC, or the network, I'm wrong, the JAC, Journalists Against Corruption, or the crooks of the world, behold. A journalist is usually loud. A band of journalists, we are very loud and scary. We see you, and we are coming for you. Thank you. Thank you. You don't want my microphone?
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and also thank you for PCIZ and also UNODC for inviting us from Timor-Leste to come here for this gathering. So when arriving here and looking at all the faces that new and unfamiliar, so I'm thinking, is this really about us, about journalists? Is this really about us being here or about somebody else, somewhere else out there that needed us? So it's not actually about, I come to conclusion that it's not about us. It's about people down there who need the truth. Their school funding been taken off, their health services been taken out because of some guys up there are making money from themselves. So that's where I stand for corruptions. That's where in Neon Metin, we always encourage our journalists, if we go for investigative journalism, go for impact. When we go for impact, we see the numbers. Is this for the big number of people, or is just for somebody else that's getting benefit out of the investigative journalism? So, been saying that, our investigative journalism should look into the way it can impact people's life. It can change people on the ground. I've given you the case of Timor-Leste negotiations with Indonesia on one of our border area. It never, if you can search, it's never been a big news in Indonesia. Never, never. But so it's really a big news in country. Why is that? Because we don't have enough information about the negotiations. When they put on the demarcation stake or pole that's saying this is going to become the border of two countries, and we start reporting. What we do is we're sending our journalists over few days ahead with our Prime Minister about to go there. We send them ahead, and they stay there and report from the ground. So what we are trying to do is really voicing what people's concern on the ground. People in the border, normally they are not getting published of what they are thinking, of what they are doing, they are suffering on the news, up to when state-to-state negotiations come in play. If there's no big things like that, nobody listen to the one in the border area. So I'm thinking, with this opportunity, with JAC, and also my observation in the room, we have the youngest one in the room and also the eldest one, the gray one in the room, including myself. So we have John, and we have our colleagues from Thailand is the youngest one. There's two generations that are different far away, and actually also different use in terms of managing their own way of doing journalism. So so I come to the term in this 2 days meeting for two take on that I have. One is working more on key figures, those people that have really influence on the media work, and working with citizens of a country. So how do we do that? Because with the key figures, we will have editors, we have journalist associations, we have NGO activists, we have female reporters or women's organizations. We can have that set of training just for this type of group. That's where our representative from UNODC said, inspired policy change, it can be coming for that. I mean, from that type of training on those that can influence change. And then train on more people, train on students, train citizen journalism, train people who become beneficiary of the development project in countries, they need to know if they build school, how much money they put into that. They need to know where the money goes, what they're buying with those money. So all that type of training, I think, can be done through JAC. It depends on how we work on about the target. We targeted those key figures or those more people. In the more people, it can turn into another level of mobilizations. They can be the one that go into the street, shouting out to the government for corruption cases, but with the key figures, they can do more in terms of policy change. So we can do both sides. So I'm thinking by having this opportunity here, the take on that I can bring back home. And surely once again, thank you for having us in this room and this gathering. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'd like to repeat some of the words. Like Linda said, JAC it's a platform where we can grow together and work together. RT, in a very dramatic way, said that JAC is a protective shield for journalists unearthing corruption. And then Fernando said that it's not about us, it's about people who need truth. So thank you very much for our panel. And thank you to Carmela for that summary of the discussion yesterday. I would like now to call a very good friend who's been with us throughout the discussion yesterday, Miss Erica Wilborg of the Embassy of Sweden in Bangkok, Thailand.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I think this has been a journey for me as well. I participated in an early meeting a couple of years ago in Siem Reap, where a few of you attended together with UNODC colleagues. And that led to the Kuala Lumpur workshop. And now we stand here today for this launch. And I'm very excited to be part of this work. And access to information is one of the important enablers for sustainable development in the Asia region and globally. And someone said that access to information is also the cure for disinformation. And we can see the important role that free and independent media plays in the fight against corruption. And this is why Sweden supports UNODC and the JAC network. And this is done via our regional strategy for Asia Pacific. And in December 2023, the Swedish government presented the new reform agenda for development assistance, considering the current global challenges. And in the agenda, the importance of promoting free and independent media is highlighted, not least when it comes to protecting key democratic elements against disinformation and misinformation activities. And the importance of ensuring that journalists are protected is also highlighted. And this, I think, is a responsibility for all of us to support. So Sweden will continue to be a clear voice supporting free and independent media and the fight against corruption. And I am very thankful to our host today, PCIJ, and to UNODC for inviting me. And it's been a great honor to listen to you all. A lot of challenges, threats, and intimidations, but also windows of opportunity and hopes, and cross-border collaboration, which is needed more than ever to also solve very complex problems. And I hope that other donors will also take the opportunity to join this highly relevant initiative that is created by investigative journalists for investigative journalists. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, maraming salamat. We would like to open anybody who would like to add to the words that were stated by our friends, our colleagues from the three countries. But first, I would like to acknowledge the presence of a very good friend of journalists in the Philippines, Mr. Carlo Figueroa, from the Canadian Embassy. Okay. I would like to open the discussion to the other participants of other members of JAC, JAC. We need to get used to the name. Anyone?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to, thank for inviting, the representative of the Journalists Association in Cambodia to be the member of the JAC. It's the new name of the Journalists Against Corruption in Southeast Asia. And it is what we are looking for so far as well. And I just, want to echo to what our colleague just said about, what the network would support to push for social accountability, transparency, and fight against corruption, not just in, the individual country in the region, but, to express and expose to the public how, the journalists across the region comes together to push for transparency and against corruption. And for me, it's quite important than ever. It is, of course, because of the trend of disinformation, misinformation, and the trend of the authoritarian in the regions. So that's why, the connectivity among the journalists in the region becomes quite important. I just come to support and also, what we are committing to work together for the, improvement and also the clean society in the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vino from Cambodia. Maybe we can ask Boom. Just a few words about collaboration between CSOs and journalists. Boom is with
Crack. Yeah, I can come forward. So, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Boom from Crack, or the Knowledge Hub for Anti-Corruption. I am also the facilitator of a CSO network against corruption in the Southeast Asia region as well, with a strong support from UNODC and the Embassy of Sweden as well. So during our, first of all, I'm so honored to be here to discuss with other journalist friends and to learn a lot of new things. I think I had a fruitful conversation with all of the journalists here today, and I have learned a lot of things as well, and a lot of things to take away to the CSO network as well. So I think I had a bigger picture that corruption in the region or around the world is very complex issue, and I think we cannot do it alone, separately. And so when I look at the CSO network, that we are doing things and aiming to join hands like journalists want to do as well. We can create a stronger bond, more impactful into the region and around the world. So I think there are many areas that we have a window for opportunity to work together. I think our works are kind of supported each other. So I think in the future, as Camera said, that we can work together, and of course we cannot work alone, and we connect the dots with each other. Like the painting here, every pigment, every dot create a beautiful picture here. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me in this event, and thank you. I'm looking forward to collaborating with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Boom. I believe Carlo has a question.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm Carlo Figueroa. I represent the Embassy of Canada. I was a former journalist as well, and I've been advocating for press freedom in my line of work since 2004. So that's 20 years now and going. Wang and Carmela. Actually, my question is this. I mean, and Wang and Carmela know this. I mean, we've been doing these training sessions, these training opportunities. I'm just wondering, actually, what are the measures that we see? What efforts do we see from the side of media owners? I would like to find out as well in the region, so not just here in the Philippines. So how can we have more buy-in for media owners, even if we exert all these efforts to popularize, to mainstream investigative journalism? But how do we also engage media owners to have more buy-in with the journalistic work that you do? That's my question. And the second question, actually, that we can discuss is, Carmela mentioned looking for economic models, that you discussed different economic models yesterday. I'm interested to find out what kind of economic models there are, because in my engagements with community journalists here in the Philippines, that's always the challenge, right? I mean, journalists who still get paid by the story. If their story is published and they get $2 for every story that they publish, of course, notwithstanding the commute, the costs, the food that they have to spend to go to their areas of coverage. So I think those are the two areas that I'd like to raise to this new network. First is how can we have more buy-in from media owners, and second is what kind or what economic models, I think that's a question that Carmela can answer, what kind of economic models are you looking for? Because these will help potential donor organizations to also gauge how or what steps can we look at in looking at project proposals in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carla. Those are two very difficult questions to answer. So I don't think I would like to answer that myself. Maybe somebody from the network. That's a question or that's an answer?
Hi, John Hyde with the Pacific Anti-Corruption Journalists Network. And that issue of the owners and the CEOs. So the Pacific Network's been going since 2019. Every year we have a CEOs and owners conference. And so we bring together through the Pacific Island News Association, which coordinates the network, and it gives a chance for working journalists in anti-corruption to show to different owners and editors how stories on anti-corruption not only sell and can make money for the media entities, but also why they are important. And so eventually, this is day one for JAC. We'd be hoping that one of the important things that we can do is to reach out to owners, editors in the ASEAN region, and also to use the ASEAN platform to convince them as well. As one example, I guess Tempo, I've worked with them for 10 years. Tempo makes money out of brilliant anti-corruption and investigative journalism. There are a number of different models from big to small throughout Southeast Asia, and I guess one of our roles in having this network is to be able to share those success stories. Not just the challenges, we all know the problems, but we want to use the network to share the solutions. So that's for your first question.
Thank you, John. Any volunteer for the first question? Okay, but this is for Philippines, right? Artist's words, last Jedi's in these times of disinformation. I think there are also realizations even among not exactly the owners, but news management level, like editors, about the need for producing in-depth reports, but at the same time also for the need to innovate, because we can do investigative reports, we can do more in-depth report, but there's that issue of where's your audience. So we need to innovate. We need to look for platforms where where the target audiences are. Um, but the realization that journalism, the declining trust in journalism, especially, I mean, talking from the Philippine experience and coming out of the Duterte administration, where media had been consistently vilified. So I think the importance of doing more reports, better reports, investigative reports, I think there has already been that realization. And I saw that in several conversations, several discussions among heads of newsrooms. Um, but if we talk about the owners, that's another issue, because right now, the second question is actually related to the first question. That's the big problem now, especially among the community press, where sustainability, the economic issues of how do you maintain a publication, a radio station with the lack of resources, especially since businesses and politics are usually intertwined. So the ads that should normally get into your stations or your papers would have those strings attached. So that those are the two questions are actually very closely related. And I think that's where the value of an organization that can campaign, that can lobby, that can push for stories that expose corruption, stories that you would not find in the daily reporting, the daily breaking news mode of reporting. So the organization can train more journalists, uh, can show how important anti-corruption stories are. So, and I think that's where the value of this new network lies. Okay, I've stopped. I can speak the whole day, as you can see yesterday. So that's it. Anybody else wants to answer? Who? Yeah. Yeah, but that's something that we can continue discussing, right? Beyond this meeting, when we continue planning for what the network is all about, the establishment doesn't stop, or the creation of a network doesn't stop here. It will continue, and we will mold it according to what is needed by journalists and by the public that we serve. Any more questions? Yes.
Just maybe try to answer the question, but from the perspective of Timor-Leste. So we do have media owners, which one of two are linked to the party who's ruling the government. So that will be a different case. But then we have several others who they're more independent, and the idea is there, like tapping into the media owners' involvement. That's a key. Consider them as a key figure, so key people that can influence the work of the media. But it's not going to be easy. Like in our case, most of the printing media, they are earning money from the advertisement. And most of the advertisements are coming from the government. And because the private sector is not that growing. So if you have that dependency, then lots of things need to be negotiating within the newsroom as well. We have community media, community radios, and it's about 12 of them. They are also supported by the government funding. They are running based on the government funding. It's not really as a established community-supported radio. So that's a different kind. But it's a radio that sometimes established by donor funding or government, and then they run on that. So it's not easy for us. In Neon Metin's case, we are back then as a student-resistant movement against Indonesia. So we established our own media as an underground network to fight Indonesia inside Indonesia. So we have that stories of being there, doing it ourselves, and we want to continue doing it with our volunteers and students in country. So it's a different way of operating. So what we do is we train and then recruit. If you want to join us as a volunteers, this is what we have. If we have, like we got some funding, you got the money. If you don't have, we don't have the money. But we rely on commitment. But it can't be go on like this forever, no? Because corruptions can go in easily into that type of work because they can pay better than your volunteers' commitment. So that's not easy.
Anyone else who want to share? Okay, Ian?
Hi, I'm Ian from the Philippines, from GMA Network. For the past day, we've learned the importance of collaboration. We have our same challenges, but we also have different challenges. But I think the more important is there's so much evil now in our society, especially corruption. But if we will join forces in collaborating, in sharing forces and skills and knowledge, I think we can fight whatever it is that we are facing now. To share some on how we create IJ or other reports that can get some eyeballs or more millions of eyeballs, what we do is we create content that first get the attention of the audience. Like for example, in our YouTube page, we have 22 million subscribers. We have millions of Facebook likes and also TikTok. But sometimes we don't get enough likes or even views. But when we do interesting headlines and captions that will lead them to the actual long-form IJ, then we can get that eyeball. We can share some information about it, maybe in the next talks and trainings that we can, and I can also get some info on how we do it, because we have social media managers and social media producers that are knowledgeable on how to handle these types of content. It's difficult because we're trained to produce a long-form IJ. So social media is a different battle. It's a different form that we have to face because it's here now. Yesterday, Sir Howie asked who is a journalist. I think what differentiates us from social media influencers, vloggers, or other is our pursuit for truth. So we continue to do that because at the end of the day, I believe that the truth will always be the truth even if no one believes it, and the lie will always be a lie even if everyone believes it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian. Okay. Any more? None. Going, going. So I would like to thank everyone. Thank you for Carmela, for Sir Daniel, for everybody who spoke. Thank you so much. This is always my problem when I'm facilitating international meetings. I'm so scared of pronouncing names. So maraming salamat. Thank you for those who are watching. We can continue the conversation even without the live stream. And I'm sure if there are people who would like to say something, I cannot prevent you from saying something. And as somebody said yesterday, journalists are really chatty people. So let's continue the chat. Maraming salamat. Thank you for the great conversation since yesterday. Thank you, UNODC. Thank you to the Swedish Embassy. Thank you to the US Embassy. Thank you, Carlo, for joining us. So, salamat sa inyong lahat. I think I should end my role unless you want to still say something.
No, nothing really more to say, but we hope you can continue conversations during lunch. If you don't, maybe you want to talk to your seatmate. I'm sure you have some pressing questions, and we can start planning the activities we had in mind, the ones that we identified yesterday. So we'll check if lunch is served, but that's the idea for this long lunch, for us to continue our conversations. Thank you. Thank you, Weng.
Thank you. By the way, radio reporters are paid 14 pesos per report. That's much less than... Oh, group photo? Again. One last.